All right. Next question was a follow-up question from last week, which is about the excessive snacking. All right, so we had a lot of questions as a follow-up to that initial question about her child snacking too much. And so she provided us with some additional information. All right, so she says that her son is 117 centimeters tall and 21 kilograms weight. Um, I'm in the US, so we use a very backwards system. So I actually don't know what that actually translates to. Um, is that small and thin or lightweight for his age? Does anybody know? Okay. All right. So now mom actually says that he, looks like he hasn't been eating enough. And, honestly, with this kind of problem, I really don't worry about it unless the child is gaining a lot of weight and their body can't handle the amount of calories that they're intaking. So mom said that she's going to go ahead and increase his meal sizes, which is a good thing. So make sure he has enough meats and vegetables in his diet. Mom also says, most of the snacks he eats are actually pretty healthy items, and that he doesn't actually have a lot of access to sweet things like chocolate or ice cream. Now, she says that he will occasionally eat cake or ice cream, but when he does eat it, he eats it really fast and a lot more than what other people would. All kids do that. Anything that the child doesn't have on a regular basis, it's like my kids do it, like things that they don't regularly have, they'll go out and it's like, oh, I don't starve my kids, but it looks like I have because they eat it so quickly and they eat so much of it. But generally, anything that the child doesn't have on a regular basis that they really enjoy, it's not a abnormal behavior. Now, mom says that he eats fruits right away, right after his meals, and he would eat them without stopping if they didn't tell him to stop. So, see, the thing that's hard to know is, will the child stop? Because I don't know. Now I think parents are very afraid that if I don't stop my child, they will never stop eating, but because they never let the child just like, all right, well, here, like I'm gonna give some more healthy foods for you. You're still hungry after dinner. I'm gonna give you more dinner for you to eat, without exploring, like, oh, will he actually stop by himself, or will he just keep on eating there? One of our other moms, I think I talked about, was afraid that their child was overeating during dinner. But whenever I take a look at the child was nothing but sticks and bones. Now, apparently at the daycare center, he'll finish his snack faster than his classmates and he'll ask for more. And the teacher always has to stop him from eating. And he won't stop unless he's told to do so. I think the question for me is, does he actually have enough to eat? That's the biggest thing, which is like, oh, does he have a big enough breakfast? Does he have enough, big enough lunch? Does he have a big enough dinner? Because I think, when you're afraid your child eating too much, you tend to restrict their caloric intake. But the problem is that different kids run at different metabolisms, and you want to make sure that the intake of food matches their metabolism, because some kids are voracious eaters, but you won't be able to tell from their frame that they're voracious eaters. So some of the thinnest people I know eat the most. Now, I would be concerned if, oh, the child eats nothing but candy, nothing but sugar, those kind of things, and or that they're gaining a lot of weight, because what it tells me is that their body cannot handle the amount of calories that the child's intake. So it sounds like you're very conscientious parents and are limiting that stuff, so that's why I'm not very concerned. I think if it's like, oh, every day he's, getting a lot of chocolate, a lot of sweets, a lot of those kind of things, I think that's a different story. But I think, they're eating fruits, they're eating nuts, they're eating, overall healthy snacks and that, then I would say don't feel as concerned about that, and kind of make sure your child has enough to eat so that they can grow at their optimum. All right. Now, what happens, I guess, is that mom will put snacks in an available area, and each person can get as much as they want from it. And Or they'll give it out when the child asks. And when they're out of snacks, the child will ask for it, confirm that there's no more, and he's actually okay once there's no more, or when mom tells him that's enough. All right. So, we're going back to the original question, which is how do I fix my child's snacking habits? Right. So, the first thing is I wouldn't worry overly much about it. Make sure to increase his meal sizes, make sure that he has enough to eat to match his um, metabolism needs. Now, if you're still concerned about it, then this kid actually sounds really easy because he doesn't protest when you deny those items or when you limit those items. So he seems fairly easy. So for this type of kid, what I would do is just set up rules for the child, which is like, all right, between meal times, you can have up to 3 snacks. And so, you can either have a count of it where he knows, or for some kids, we have cards and they exchange those cards for a snack. And then what you want to do is reinforce heavily when he doesn't exchange those cards for snacks. So like, oh, if he has one card left over by dinner time, then maybe you give him ice cream that he never gets after dinner. Or if he gets 2 or all 3 of them and he doesn't use those, you heavily reinforce the lack of use of those for that. But otherwise, then it just be like, okay, we're limiting his intake so that he understands like, okay, this is how many times I can ask for it. And the same thing, you can set up a rule for school, like, oh, at school or at daycare, you can only ask for 1 additional snack. And he seems to follow and understand rules fine, and I think that would probably help.